Community matters.
Hello and welcome to Many Voices, One Community, stories that unite us across Long Island and beyond. I'm Gaitley Stevenson Mathews. I'm so very pleased to be your host, and it is a special day today because I have my good friend Jeanine DiMenna, of course, of Jeanine's American Bistro, among many other things. Of course, those of us on the North Shore, many of us are familiar with Jeanine because over the years she has not only made our tummies smile. Can our tummies smile? I don't know if our tummies can smile.
They can.
Okay, yeah. Good. But she has also brought so many things to so many people, and I feel fortunate and blessed to call you a good friend. And I'd like to say I'm the only one on the North Shore in Glen Cove that feels that way, but there are so many people who have been touched by you and have appreciated everything you bring to the equation. And so with that in mind, I am just so thrilled to have you on this show today. How you doing? Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. And I just want to say that finding friends like Gaitley, I mean, what you do for the community is absolutely tremendous. And it's done with a glad heart. And that's the difference between a lot of things.
You're right.
When things are done with a glad heart, it shows a lot more, and
right. Well,
rather than, you know.
Yes, I know. And again, I'm just thinking in terms of you and your life and how you bring things to the equation. Glad heart. You know, I love that. I hadn't even thought about that. But that, to look for that and find that in people and then to lift that up. Now, you know, in some ways, you would think, oh, well, we're talking to a chef. We're talking about food. What are we talking about? Community and love and caring. But I will say, in being a chef and what you bring to the community, you bring all of those components to the equation in everything you do, including when you host people at your restaurant. So if I could, this is what I'd love to do. I want to make sure that we chat about your work in the community, your volunteerism, the way you support the community in so many ways, your journey as a chef. But also, why don't we take it back a few steps? And I'd like to hear about the little girl, Jeanine, growing up here in Glen Cove, right?
Yes.
Right. So how is the Jeanine today different or the same from the Jeanine when you were 5?
Completely different.
Wow.
Yeah, I was very shy and very unsure of myself and very insecure growing up. Oh, yeah.
That's hard to believe.
And I think part of it is because I had a learning disability.
Wow.
And I didn't hear and see things the same way other people did. And it made me very scared to say things or skeptical because all these people are seeing one thing and I'm seeing something else, you know, so it made it you were scared to say something. You know, so.
And, you know, it's interesting because we've got, my apology, I can't think of her name right there, but there is a program where she talks about families with children with learning disabilities. And as you may know, I worked with kids who were dyslexic right out of grad school, so I did training in that. So I have some background in that. But oftentimes, what is the challenge as a child turns into the gift as an adult. Is that not the case?
1,000%, yeah. Mm-hmm. And my husband always says that.
Yeah.
He says, if you weren't who you were when you were younger, you wouldn't be who you are today. And it's so on point because it taught me a lot. And from a very, very, very young age, I could remember just having this incredible empathy for people and being able to pick up on, you know, emotions, sadness, and it was before I even knew I had a learning disability or anything, but I remember that.
So from your vantage point, that kind of the learning disability brought in another sense that perhaps not everyone else would have.
Yeah.
And your understanding and compassion.
Right.
Right.
And it was a good feeling. It was you know, if you will, it was a presence of God, and I believe in all that, you know, and I'm very spiritual in a lot of ways, and but it brought me to who I am. And when I look back now, it's been 30 years I've had a business in Glen Cove. Was really the first time in my life I feel a very proudness of myself. I think I made the right decisions and said the right things and did the right things, and it didn't happen because I forced it. It came natural, and I'm very blessed.
Right.
Just so blessed to have that.
I would say when oftentimes when I work with young people, I will say to them for what they're feeling and when they feel driven to do something. And it is hard not to just fight and do it, but I'll often say, breathe into it. Yeah. Breathe into it. And your life, our crossroads, the two of us, more often than not, has been at the place of compassion.
Yes. Yes. And I picked up on that with you from day one, and it was refreshing.
Thank you. And I will say, thinking about our interview today, I kept thinking, we can't cry, okay? No crying today.
No crying. We'll keep smiles today, all right?
But one of those moments, certainly, highly successful chef, serving the community, doing so many things, and then bam, we had COVID.
Yeah.
And to me, I take so many pictures, I do so many of those things, and looking back at photos and such, it almost feels like the Dark Ages.
Yes.
Like somehow we made
survived.
it through the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
But part of our making it through the Dark Ages was thanks to people like you. And I say that because, as you know, that was the beginning of Nosh Delivers,
right?
Because people could not come to the shelters and could not come to the food kitchens, so we had to get the food to them. Courtney Callahan certainly was the impetus in getting that going. I was honored to be a part of the founding of that and still deliver to this day. But when, as you know, last week we had Howie Stillwagon in here.
Right.
And incredibly, after that fire at the VFW post, which is where the Nosh Delivers, which is a organization that delivers to families who are in need, delivers food, when they no longer had a home, certainly it moved around, but one of the places that it lived for quite some time was at the View Grill, which is where you were the chef.
Right.
And where, as I remember, we would go into that back room, you would always find a place. And that is how I think of you, always finding a place. When there was a need, there was no hesitation. So why did you bother to do that? Why didn't you just say, you know what? No one would have blamed you had you said, I'm trying to run a business in the middle of a pandemic, trying to get food to people and make a living. As much as I appreciate it, I can't do this. Why did you have the complete opposite response?
I've had everything in my life I could possibly want. And it's not that my life was exactly what I wanted, but I appreciate everything I have. And I think that when you have gifts in life, you have to look at other people's situations and you have to be diplomatic. And what went through my mind was like, all these people need food. They're not as well as I am. Who would I be if I didn't, if you didn't care, and that's very important to me in life, really is. We live in America, we have the best of the best.
Right.
And there are people who live in third world countries who eat sand cookies.
Right.
So I feel you can't walk around pompous attitude and think who you are. We have to give back to people who are less fortunate. And if we're not doing that, then we're doing something wrong, because I don't think life is 100% about money. It's about caring and loving and giving. And I get a great satisfaction out of that. And a lot of that I got from my grandmother had 13 brothers and sisters.
Oh my gosh.
And each of them was unique. And she had two sisters and a brother that never got married, and they war. You know, we talked about Howie last week.
Right, sure.
You know, they had issues from the war and things, and they were the kindest, sweetest people. I'm going to start to cry. I know, no crying. But
That's okay. That's okay. We'll
they were the
forgive.
kindest, sweetest people.
Right.
And when I look back on my life, like I see them when I was young, and they gave me everything I needed, you know,
Right.
and it wasn't about, let me give you money, it was that unconditional love that they had.
Right. And here's the thing.
Oh, God.
Jeanine, it's okay. It's okay. Okay.
Sorry, but I said I wasn't going to cry.
That's okay. I may have one in there too before we're done. But, you know, Jeanine, they live in you.
Yes. Yes.
They live in you.
Yes.
And the fact that they live in you empowers you, as cliche as it sounds, but to pay it forward.
Yeah. Yes.
And perhaps you would feel that if you didn't have that, but to me, that is part of your breath.
Yeah.
That is part of your blood. That is your spirit and what is in you.
Yeah.
And that is legacy.
Yeah.
That is where we say thank you. And you know, here at the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center, we are so blessed to have survivors of the Holocaust.
Oh, yes.
And you think about what they survived with their families and with the atrocities that they saw and lived through and survived. And one might think it would be an angry, bitter group of people. But they are some of the kindest, most loving,
Yes.
oftentimes humor.
Yeah.
And I just think about that kind of example is the kind of example that should educate us to always work
Yes.
to make good decisions.
Yes.
And, you know, again, as just a humble little resident in Glen Cove and here on the North Shore, I am appreciative of all of that and all you bring to our community.
Well, I thank you.
Yeah, it's a big.
I think that your leaps and bounds of what you do is tremendous for our community, and you don't look for anything in return.
Well,
And I think that's part of a special personality, because we go back to the glad heart. You do it with a glad heart, and you don't look for anything in return.
right.
You know.
No,
And-
that is it. That is absolutely. You know, I often say, I often think of Nosh because they just do it every
Yeah.
week.
Yeah, they're
it doesn't take
wonderful
long.
people.
But it's like my reminder. It's my reminder of the importance of giving back.
Yes.
And I also often say, I had a similar feeling about my parents as far as their giving to the community. And I feel more at one with God
Yes.
and more at one with them
Yeah.
when I am doing those kind of things. So in some ways, I feel like giving back is really the most selfish thing in the world, because you feel it, you get such a good feeling, you know.
Yeah.
You know?
You benefit from it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit. And I'm doing this because I think, you know, let's say out there's someone who wants to be a chef or is thinking about it or always liked to cook, but, oh my gosh, felt like, you know, is that something I can do? So share a little bit about your journey and something that you might want to share with a young person who is interested in that. I know I've brought people to you who've had ambitions, and I've said, I need you to meet Jeanine. So share a little bit about that.
Well, when I started at the Tiffany House, and I didn't find it. It found me.
And was that what is the mansion now?
It was the View Grill.
It's the View
And
Grill.
now
Okay,
it's the
sure.
Marker,
Yeah.
You know, so I would hang out around there, and one night, I guess, and this is true 30 years later, somebody didn't show up and you needed hands, and the owner comes out and grabs me and says, "Hey kid, peel this corn," you know, so I'm husking the corn, and then he said, "Come on in the kitchen," and I went in and starts doing dishes, and it was an incredible feeling. I fit in, and I never had that before. And there was older people, younger people, all different types of people in there, and it was just like, wow, you know, I really like this.
So
you know?
this was not the square peg in a round hole. This was the round peg going in the round hole.
Yeah, and it was an incredible feeling, and the people were so nice, and I fit in somewhere.
Right.
And
how old were you? What
I
age
was
were you?
14 years old. Wow. Yeah, I was 14. And then there was this cute guy up by the tennis courts. Yeah, who
we know who he is.
Yes. And my life completely changed there. I met my husband.
Yeah, and still a cute guy. I see him at the gym, right?
He is very cute. Yeah, he is. He is. He's a great guy. As a matter of fact, he's gotten into cooking now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
and he's really, really good. I think he's better than me.
No, I doubt it.
I'll touch on that after, but it was such an incredible feeling, and I wanted to be there. I wanted to go to work all the time because A, I could look at the cute guy up at the tennis courts, and B, I was somewhere where people listened and heard and were teaching me, and I could do it. You know, It wasn't something like when I was in school, I could have been in a foreign country. I had no clue what was going on, and I thought everybody else was the same. I didn't know that everybody was understand. I had no idea, and then all of a sudden I realized everybody else knows what's going on. I don't know what's going on, and I didn't know what was wrong with me.
Right. You know, for me, as I hear you tell that story, things make even more sense to me. And what I mean by that, I not only know many of the people who work at Jeanine's American Bistro, I also know the alumni of Jeanine's who have been under your tutelage, either as waiters or as cooks or working in so many different capacities with you. And, Jim and I moved here in 2007. I first got to know you when you were at Page One. Right. Yeah. Page One, maybe the last few years.
Yeah, I was there till 13. So,
yes. So, but the thing that I've always felt with your staff and with the people who work with you is there's a sense of belonging. And not only is there a sense of belonging, it's every walk of life. You know, it's a place that nurtures and lifts people up. It's a hard job. Oh my gosh, I go into Jeanine's into the bistro, Jeanine's American Bistro, and you were so busy, and those waiters are coming and going, and I see that door swing and coming in and out. But there is such joy, and again, every background, every walk of life, every nationality,
the restaurant business,
every faith.
There's no discrimination.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it sounds silly, but I've always sensed that. And knowing the people who've worked there, people who maybe because, one establishment is more one way or the other, or a business maybe leans more towards being more conservative or more this or more that people who maybe wouldn't be at home somewhere else are at home.
And I think that's part of a small community.
Yeah.
I think that you want people to come in and feel comfortable.
Right.
I don't like to go to a restaurant and feel like that they're not paying attention to me and that I'm, you just want a warm smile and just, hi, how are you?
Right.
And you feel good and.
Right.
And again, I look back through all these years of my career and I again, it's been 30 years now and it's really been great.
Right.
It really has been great. Like, I didn't know it at the time.
Right.
But I've been in Zagat's quite a few times, which was the big Bible of culinary back in the day.
Yes, you were in the TV show. Yeah. What was a chef battle, right?
Kitchen Casino, which was absolutely a thrill of a lifetime. And I'm so lucky too because my husband's so supportive. I never would have done that. First off, there was 15 pages of stuff you have to fill out. I couldn't even write my name. My husband does all that. He does everything at the restaurant that I can't do, and it's just everything kind of falls into place for me, and it's just. Right. I love it, but being on Food Network was just it was the cherry on top of the sundae.
Right. As you know, there's that picture of you on Food Network.
Yeah.
It's like the picture. In fact, when I think was Roxy the editor when you were Person of the Year?
Yes, she was.
Okay,
yeah.
so Roxy reached out to me asking if I had any images, and so I reached out to your husband, anyway, it was one of those pictures that they used, and there was just such a look on your face.
Yeah, it was.
And that was, so you were Person of the Year in 2020. I wrote it down.
I think it was 21.
21. It was 21. I think you were right. So all the honors that you've had over the years, and rightfully so. I remember that one because, again, I know Roxy reached out to many different people, reached out to me among others, reached out to Mary Stanko, who's kind of a fixture.
Yes, she is
here in Glen Cove. So we have to actually start winding this down. This is hard to believe, isn't it?
No
we
worries.
could be here forever,
it's all
right?
Good, yeah.
Oh my gosh. So I often like to tell people this is like the most relaxing time for me because, like you, I am so darn busy. And to have an opportunity to just sit down.
No phones ringing.
And visit.
Nobody, it's
just
nice.
My grandmother would
nice.
say visit. I feel like, growing up, we used to sit on the porch after dinner and, how you doing? Oh, good to see, that kind of feel. I try as much as possible to kind of bring this to this podcast. Is there anything else you'd like to share as it regards being a part of the community? And what is important? What is important? I know, as a business owner, you have to make, have to make money. You have to pay attention to all of that. Thank goodness you do have Fred working with you.
Yeah,
you guys are such an amazing team. But what has been your secret?
I think my secret is I learned to like myself. And I think that I said, just quick, when I first started at Page One, everybody said, well, you need an identity. It's like branding now, I guess, same type of thing.
Right.
And I was like, I don't know what. What do you mean an identity? What are you talking about? It's a restaurant, But I think my identity did come from my grandparents.
Right.
And their kindness and their sweetness. And I just kind of realized that I had that in me, but I never knew that until when I first started at Page One, I couldn't even go out in the dining room and talk to anybody. My head would be down. And the only reason why I started going out to talk to people was because I'd serve the food, and the waitresses or waiters would go watch TV. I wanted to make sure they were okay. So I would go out with my head down and, do you need anything? They needed salt or they needed something cooked more or whatever. Sure. And it started bringing me out of my shell. Right. And it was incredible because I never realized that I had that in me. Right. And it's just come out on its own. Right. And it started to become more natural. And that became my identity. Right. And that's what I brought with me through the years. Right. And it's been perfect. My dad never in all my years ever said a bad word about anybody. And I think I'm a lot like my dad. I have some of my mom. My mom is great too, but my mom has little. But I think that I've I just let it happen rather than being afraid anymore to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing. I learned I can laugh at myself if I say something wrong. I don't have to be embarrassed or feel stupid. And a lot of my years I felt stupid for a long, long time. And although I make fun of myself, and but I've been able to reach out to those kids too that are I see it. They're so afraid and they're so scared and I take them in, and just tell, hey, it's okay, and it's okay to be different. It's okay to make a mistake. It's okay, and I think, and I never realized, that I'm here. I don't want to even be there, but it makes a difference to these kids because they do know that, you were on Food Network, or you did this and you did it.
And you were an example. That's exactly why I believe the young woman was from Jamaica who was visiting. And I said, I need to bring you down to talk to Jeanine DiMenna because she knows these things. She's been there. She's done that. So I'm going to wrap it up with this. I'd like you to think, and I'll give you a second to think about it. So the 5-year-old Jeanine, what would you say to the Jeanine today?
I'm going to cry. I would say to that Jeanine that don't worry, it's all going to be okay. Like you're good. You know, you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to feel stupid. You know, you're okay, you know.
Right.
And it's been a great, these are happy tears, you know.
Yes,
they're not.
yes,
But
of course.
I've really made it, you know. And I've never, like I said, I'm proud of myself, what I've done and how I've behaved through my life.
And we are proud of you as a community.
Except when I yell in the kitchen.
Oh, okay.
That was the only thing I regret. If
Yes.
I could, and these are all the people who work for me. If I could have regretted that, if I could have took that back, I would have.
Right.
But there was a lot of stress
But the
at
people
times.
who know you, when you care and are invested, sometimes that comes.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Janine, thank you so much for being
been
on
my
this show.
pleasure.
It's just been beautiful.
Yeah,
And
I didn't know it was
thank
going to
you.
get so mushy. I'm sorry.
Thank you. You've been watching Many Voices, One Community. I'm Gaitley Stevenson Mathews. I'm your host, and I've been so delighted to have my good friend Jeanine DiMenna with me today. Make sure you tune into all of our amazing podcasts here at hmTV at hmTC. Thank you so very much, and see you next time.